Welcome back to Review and React channel. Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus specs. 6.2-inch Quad HD Infinity Display, AMOLED. Samsung Exynos 8895, Europe and Asia, or Qualcomm Snapdragon, USA. 4GB RAM, 64GB storage, microSD up to 256GB. 3500 mAh battery with wireless and fast charging. Rear camera, 12 megapixels, f/1.7 aperture and dual pixel sensor. Front camera, 8 megapixels, f/1.7 and autofocus. Iris and fingerprint scanner. Samsung Bixby personal assistant. Android 7 Nougat with Google Assistant. Headphone jack, NFC and IP68 water resistance. Design. Minimized bezel, but no more front home button. Fingerprint sensor is awkwardly in the back now. Dust and water resistant with a stellar IP68 rating. Samsung's Galaxy S8 Plus is another all-glass design wrapped around a thin metal frame, and its edge-to-edge curved sides are accompanied by ultra-thin top and bottom bezels. It's an all-screen phone similar to the striking Xiaomi Mi Mix out of China late last year. Samsung using those design cues, and taking the idea worldwide. The Galaxy S8 Plus flaunts it even more than the S8. Fitting a tall 6.2-inch display inside truly full dimensions of 159.5 x 73.4 x 8.1 mm. It weighs 173 grams. That's definitely taller than the Note series, and you're going to have to really stretch and juggle the phone in your grip to reach the opposite corners. There's also no longer a physical home button on the front, instead the phone relies on a pressurized on-screen home button. It's like Apple's 3D Touch, but limited to where the oval-shaped home button used to be. On-screen buttons are popular on other Android phones that benefit from more screen real estate, but this is a big change for longtime Samsung phones users. The fingerprint sensor integrated into the glass isn't part of this new pressurized home button. We're not so far into the future that the scanner can be built under the glass yet. One day. Instead, the sensor has been moved to the back, adjacent to the camera. Expect to smudge the lens every now and again thanks to this awkward placement. You're also going to have to remember where it's at depending on how you're holding the phone, left-handed or right-handed. It's not dead center like we've seen on almost every other Android. There's one bonus to this we found in our testing. You can now switch the on-screen keys back and recent buttons that flank the home button. Samsung aligns them on opposite sides compared rival Android phones. Samsung includes a number of other ways to unlock your phone. Besides the oddly placed fingerprint sensor and the usual passcode unlock method. Both an iris scanner and face recognition provide touch-free unlocking, so you might not have to reach for the awkwardly placed fingerprint sensor anyway. We really want to test out facial recognition feature more to see if it's as secure as the iris and fingerprint sensor. The home button move transitions, one of our favorite Samsung Galaxy features. Double tap the home to launch the camera to the sleep/wake button on the side. That'll take some getting used to as well. You're not in for a change when it comes headphone jack, thankfully. The usual 3.5mm port remains, along with a single speaker at the bottom for audio. Samsung does finally convert its flagship phones over to USB-C, a reversible port replacing micro USB. You can now plug in your phone in the dark without fail. The Galaxy S8 Plus colors in US and UK consist of midnight, orchid gray, and arctic silver. They're rather drab hues, and the West seems to miss out on maple gold and coral blue that are being saved for other regions. Our prediction is that Samsung will launch these or other colors over time to re-engage Galaxy S8 Plus sales in a few months in. It did exactly that with the S7 and S7 Edge, throwing in a 128GB option to boot. Display. 6.2-inch display. Infinity Display is massive. Don't expect a 4 Kelvin resolution for VR perfection. Big is an understatement for this 6.2-inch screen. In fact, Samsung seems to think it goes on forever, calling the nearly bezel-less front its Infinity Display. Samsung consistently wins world's best phone display titles every year, and we see the Galaxy S8 Plus just earned the company another trophy. It has a superb-looking Quad HD Plus display, pushing the resolution to 2960 x 1440 with 529 pixels per inch. It also touts Mobile HDR Premium, offering a better contrast ratio akin to your 4 Kelvin HDR TV set. Samsung's invented 18.59 aspect ratio is odd at first, providing a taller screen. But we found this to be a benefit once we tried out multitasking. You can open larger side-by-side app windows and read more on a screen, even with the on-screen keyboard deployed. Just don't expect a 4 Kelvin resolution phone display. This one is still at the 2 Kelvin level and defaults to Full HD, adjustable in the settings. We haven't seen 4 Kelvin in many phones, although we predict that Samsung will experiment with it on the Galaxy Note 8. You're not going to see individual pixels here unless you're using the phone with the Samsung Gear VR, 2 inches from your face, and that's where 4 Kelvin is going to be useful one day soon. Bixby and Android 7.0. Bixby is Samsung's new Siri rival. Google Assistant is also here, oddly. It has Android Nougat and likable Samsung experience. Advertisement. Samsung is promising that the Galaxy S8 and Galaxy S8 Plus will take Siri to the next level with its brand new smartphone voice assistant, Bixby. Bixby is supposed to rival Apple's Siri and Android's Google Assistant, the latter of which is also present on the phone. Which one you use is up to you. The benefit of Bixby is that it's a system-wide intelligent interface for the Galaxy S8 Plus. You can control your entire smartphone by prompting Bixby. If you know you can do it with touch, you can do it with voice, said Samsung. Whereas Siri and Google Assistant can drop the ball, Samsung is supposed to excel. We'll save our judgment for the final Galaxy S8 Plus review. In addition to voice, Bixby can do object recognition via the camera to name products and list prices for refills. Reminders and smart home applications are also handled by Bixby. Obviously, we need more time with the phone to verify Samsung's lofty claims, but we're happy to report that the new flagships will run Android 7.0 Nougat. This is Google's latest software, and the latest Samsung Experience interface has been refined well beyond TouchWiz. You don't have to hate Samsung's Android skin anymore. One feature we really like finally pulled from iOS 10 interface is the ability to search your phone right from the home screen. Just swipe down anywhere on the screen, anywhere but the tippy top, which would initiate the notification shade. A search bar and all of your apps appear. It's noticeably faster than having to open the app drawer. Specs and performance. New octa-core chipset is powerful, yet efficient. Sticks with 4 GB of RAM, instead of 6 GB of RAM. 64 GB of internal storage with microSD expansion. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has next-generation power under the hood to match that futuristic exterior, and that's thanks to its new processors. It has a 10nm octa-core chipset at its heart, and while the model varies, the US gets the Qualcomm 835, almost everywhere else has Exynos, The important thing to say is that it's much faster, and the chip is smaller. Smaller chipsets are more energy efficient, so getting the first 10nm sized chip in a phone is a huge deal for your battery life, not just processing power. We're looking forward to benchmarking both versions of the phone in the US and the UK in our final Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus review. Its ability to run high-end Gear VR games sounds promising for the future of mobile-based virtual reality. There hasn't been an upgrade to the RAM. We're still sitting at 4 GB, at least outside of China, when other Androids are reaching 6 GB. But the internal storage sees a boost. The S8 Plus has 64 GB of internal storage, which can be upgraded via the microSD slot by another 256 GB, depending on the memory card you buy. That's a value that a company like Apple just doesn't give you. Camera. Same 12MP camera sensor as last year. No dual lens rear camera tricks here. Front-facing 8MP camera with autofocus. Advertisement. The Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus are poised to continue Samsung's best camera phone streak, even if the 12MP sensor with an f/1.7 aperture and OIS is the same as last year. It doesn't try to change things up with a dual lens rear camera, there's just one lens on the back. The true upgrade here is behind the scenes, in the post-picture processing, says Samsung. That means better low-light photos, and fewer squinty eyes in burst mode. You're also going to get better front-facing selfies from the new 8MP camera, up from the 5MP sensor a year ago, while there's smart autofocus too. Most front-facing cameras have fixed autofocus, but we're really interested in testing out the smart autofocus for group selfies at different ranges. No other flagship is doing this yet. Battery life. A conservative 3500 mAh battery. 100 mAh less than the Galaxy S7 Edge. 10nm chipset is more energy